that is a perfect segue to our next topic, the Coalition Avenir du Québec's, so we call it the CAQ, uh, leadership race that's ongoing right now. Well, did you know we had an ongoing leadership race for the CAQ? In case you did not know, I'm here to inform you with David about it, right? So it's been an ongoing process in the last like two-ish months, and it's set to be held on April 12th of this year, right? So in about 2 weeks, right? Following François Legault's announcement that he is resigning. And well, he's caused a lot of the problems, I would say. Even though he's taking the blame for it, like I think he was forced and pressured to, and it was just about time because, you know,
Okay.
he saw for 2 years, he said, I'm going to keep running, I'm going to keep running. And journalists kept asking him the same question, are you going to keep running? But at the same time, it's like, things haven't changed. Take a hint, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, so, in terms of the leadership race, we have Christine Fréchette,
Hmm.
who is the former immigration minister, and most recently, she has been the Minister of the Economy and Innovation.
Hmm.
And then against her is the second candidate, who is Bernard Drinville, former Parti Québécois MNA.
Hmm.
He became a CAQ MNA, and he was beforehand the Minister of Education till
Yeah.
2024, I believe. And
Yeah.
then he succeeded to being the Minister of the Environment.
Yes.
Okay. Now, throughout this race, it's been quite interesting. I think it was quite a distraction from the Quebec leadership race that only had one candidate in the end, Charles Milliard. And
Hmm.
again, I'm very happy Charles Milliard is the new leader. I'm a huge fan, and we both voted for him. I know so. Sorry to spill the beans. I didn't know if you wanted it to be public in your case. So we have on one hand Christine Fréchette, who's a little bit of a moderate technocrat, who's the former immigration minister, and then she became the Minister of the Economy and Innovation. She likes to focus, and this was an issue. She focused on her approach to decision making in the first 2 weeks of the campaign, during which journalists commented a lot about. Her focus is much more on economic management, how she makes decisions, her competence and experience, and how she wants to ensure stability in Quebec. On the other hand, you also have Bernard Drainville, who's much more of a populist,
Hmm.
whose focus is much more on nationalism, and his
Hmm.
messaging is much more nationalistic as well, tone wise. And he likes to focus on identity politics.
Hmm.
Okay. So, as I said, he's much more ideologically a populist compared to a centrist technocrat. So, that's the choice between the two. A very interesting duo, quite a duality, I would say, for the CAQ members to vote, because the CAQ has not been known in the past in terms of its brand, shall we say, to being an ideologically extremist or populist party, right? They've
I
been
would beg
much
to
more
differ.
focusing on the economy, moderate, and
I would beg
sort
to
of like
differ on
the
that one.
sovereignty light party,
Okay. I
right?
would beg to differ on that one. I would say that was
Okay.
precisely how they came to pass was populist, and I wouldn't
Yes, but
call.
that's not how they're governing. That's a key difference. Did you also know that there was a first debate that occurred literally last Saturday on March 20th, right? And there's going to be a second leadership debate for the CAC on March 27th.
Mhm.
Today, we'll be talking about the first debate and some moments in the race. Okay, so let's start by talking about the race itself for folks to be recapped on a little bit, right? So early on, polls suggested conducted by Leger
Mm.
that Christine Fréchette was the favorite. In fact, she has gotten um, much more endorsements very early on than Bernard Drinville. Bernard Drinville got 15 so far. But Bernard Drinville has been very effective at driving the campaign message and forcing Christine Fréchette to sort of defend or elaborate on what her position is publicly, right? So several times he's done this. Has it actually reflected into the polling? Well, let's look at some of the polling right now. So,
Right.
and fast forward to the latest poll conducted on January 29th of this year by Leger. Among 134 CAQ supporters, 59% Christine Fréchette, Bernard Drinville 22%. Here's the caveat to this. 5% preferred another candidate, while 14 chose not to answer because they don't know or just refused to answer. So,
Yes.
in my view, 98 to 134 CAQ members being polled is insufficient, given that they have more than 5,000 members currently that will have a vote in the leadership race.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite uncertain. Who do you think is going to win in your view with the information that I've just given so far?
I really don't want the information. Okay, so I actually don't want to make a prediction because
Mm.
the polling is out to lunch. It's not usable. I
Look,
also
secretly, I think, given that Bernard Renville has more experience, even though he's got higher unfavorable ratings, I would prefer to have Bernard Renville as the leader. And here's
okay.
why.
Okay.
I don't think either or of these candidates are going to cause a Mark Carney-like comeback for the party. That's number one. So why? Because they're only going to have just less than 6 months to get stuff done. Will they get something done? To be seen. Highly unlikely, in my opinion, right? But are they actually going to affect the polling that we're seeing in terms of the provincial averages? That's the question. Because the outliers right now are the Conservative Party that's in third place. Uh, some of those voters might go back to the CAQ, etc. Right?
Yeah.
But at great times of uncertainty, I think people have already made up their minds that they're not going to give another chance to the CAQ, no matter who they bring. At the moment, that's what it seems like, according to the polling. It keeps going downwards, and during a
it does
leadership
lean in
race,
that
it's kind
direction.
of
Yeah.
stagnant usually. It doesn't go down, so it's a little bit of a surprise. It seems like Christine Fréchette is the favorite only because of endorsements and the polling. However, I'm of the opinion that the members will prefer someone like Bernard Drinville. Why? They want to have a fighting chance against the Parti Québécois specifically. And
Mm-hmm.
Bernard Drinville, being a former PQ, MNA, has a better shot of taking votes away from the Parti Québécois in a chance to keep the party, ensure the party's survival, right? Um, the independence issue is going to be key also. So Bernard Drinville cannot give like a very nuanced political answer like Christine Fréchette would, right? Um, they right now, the latest poll shows 71% are against it. So the referendum, it keeps fluctuating, but
Yeah.
the
It
most
keeps
recent
moving up
one
and down.
is only 29% for it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the last one conducted by Ligier. Yeah, so I don't think it's going to matter in terms of endorsements, but rather the experience is going to matter and survivability.
I'm gonna just tell you who I like.
Sure.
I'm not sure if any of them are gonna make a dent for real.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
like
said.
I like Fréchette. I like a governor to govern. That's what I
Mhm.
like. But history has shown
Even if
us
it's for a
that.
few months.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I want
Okay.
her to. What I'm trying to say is, but hear me out. When it comes to
Mhm.
the election, even though they're not gonna win anything. Drainville is I mean he's an attack dog. He's almost like
Yes.
a Poliev, but Quebec style for Quebecers. So
No, no, no. I think if there is a politician I would compare him to, he has the potential to being the Quebec Chris Christie.
Okay.
Now, normally I would say Denis Coderre would be Quebec's Chris Christie because he's known to be a pretty good attack dog, and he's not afraid to say things.
Right.
Obviously, Denis Coderre is not going to be on the debate stage, right, this year. So, Bernard Drinville would probably do that against Plamondon,
I think he would. Yes, that's where I was going with that. So
not
the,
Christine Fréchette. Yeah,
the question would be, I think she would govern better, but that's my opinion. But if the question is who is going to attack the Parti Québécois and keep them on their heels, it's going to be Drainville.
exactly. Yeah. And obviously, because I'm a supporter of Charles Milliard too, call me a little biased. Uh, it gives the Quebec
He
Liberals a
makes the
little bit
party
of a
look good. I will
pathway.
give you that.
Yeah, yeah. And the more the votes are taken away from the Parti Québécois, the more of a chance the Quebec Liberal Party has a chance to gain a minority government in this upcoming election.
Okay, that's ambitious,
That
but
would
yes, with
that would be my preference,
okay.
obviously, right? It's going to be a matter of seats. Let's not forget. But
Okay.
without further ado, we let's move to the first debate that took place.
Je dirais Bernard parce que j'ai appelé les gens pour les consulter. Quand j'ai fait ces appels-là, j'ai réalisé une chose, c'est que pas personne n'appuie le tracé que tu mets de l'avant. Alors, c'est important qu'on les entende, ces gens-là. Le tracé, là, on le choisit pour eux, pour les gens qui sont ici, pas pour toi, pas pour ton ego.
Christine, je pense pas que c'est une bonne idée de rentrer dans les attaques personnelles. Je pense qu'on doit rester respectueux parce qu'on va devoir travailler tout le monde ensemble par la suite. Ce qui nous a fait mal dans ce projet-là, là, c'est le avance-recul, avance-recul, avance-recul. Malheureusement, ce que tu proposes, Christine, dans ce dossier-là, c'est un autre recul. Je suis très étonné que Christine relance ce débat. Je ne sais pas où elle était dans les années 2010-2011. Si vous me demandez de choisir entre l'eau et le gaz, je vais toujours choisir l'eau.
C'est la proposition que j'ai faite, c'est d'en discuter, d'en débattre, parce que le contexte a énormément changé. On a une volonté, je pense, assez partagée d'être davantage souverain sur le plan énergétique, d'être moins dépendant de marchés extérieurs au Québec. Alors, on a des ressources naturelles, dont le gaz, et ça mérite d'être discuté à nouveau.
For some reason, they're doing it on Saturdays. Usually it's supposed to be done on Sundays, but that's new to me, right? They're trying to do some rebranding, I guess.
Right.
So, just a little bit of a recap regarding the first leadership debate, and honestly, this was a party fighting for literally survival. So, was it a policy debate? I would say no, and right away from the get-go, it started quite confrontational tone-wise. So
Okay.
instead of talking about like what's your vision for Quebec, what is best for Quebec, it's rather almost it sounded like who can save what's left of the party,
Right.
of the
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
literally.
Yeah.
So there was like
what's
there
left,
was a lot of like
what we stand
friction in
for.
the air, wasn't
Yeah.
there? Like it
Yeah.
really felt like you know, like let's like a little bit before like a boxing contest, right? It's not like a warm-up greeting. Hey, let's unite
So,
after this
but there's a
election.
point
Nothing
to
like
that
that.
though, because it has a ginormous majority,
Mm,
and you could almost see that those are all the MLAs. That's what they're all saying. Like,
mm.
I'm gonna run again. There's a giant chance I'm not gonna get my seat. What are you doing about it? Was basically what I read, and that was it.
Well, I was about to say also that this felt less like a leadership debate or a race, and more like where it's an urgent political meeting that we have to have a convention about. It sort of is at that stage right now. And like you can see the difficulty for both candidates, I feel, throughout this campaign. It's been very difficult for them to answer. While I think Drainville has done a better job at it, is how to keep defending François Legault's, your current leader's record, while at the same time trying to distance from it.
Mhm.
And it's very admirable, I would say, and sometimes comical to see both of them constantly doing it, but without naming what's actually at the root of it, like what's causing it, François Legault,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or like the cyclic situation or the troisième lien situation, right?
Oh, right.
So So it's
a huge
not like
scandal.
none of the candidates actually talked about a grand vision for Quebec. None of them actually talked about on the stage like they're confident that they're gonna win. How do we win the next election?
Yeah,
They didn't have that message, but rather how do
no,
we avoid getting wiped out?
correct.
Right. Right. It sort of is like that. They're not debating also how to govern, but rather than how do we survive? That's
Yeah.
sort of um, the gist that I got from the first debate. So what say you, David, as your final take?
My final take on the subject. Okay, so I guess I would have to compare it to the other debates. I don't I don't have much of
You
an
mean the
opinion
Quebec
on it.
Liberal Party debates that
For
occurred
example,
this last year? Yeah,
the
yeah.
last one that just occurred, and I would have to say that at least they weren't afraid to attack each other. They went after their records, and that was interesting to watch. Other than that, I don't have much of an opinion.
Basically, what David's trying to say is he didn't think anyone actually moved the needle or won the debate.
I
Uh,
would definitely put it that way. Yes, I don't think the needle
yeah.
moved. They really
Well,
did.
you're welcome for the translation, right?